Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Glad to be here.
Today we're digging into something super fascinating, the power of identity.
It's a big one.
It really is, and we've got some really great source material for this one, from the Time to Rise Summit Day 2, the power of identity.
Some really great takeaways in there.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you hear the power of identity, you might think like, oh, like, am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Or like, what's my personality type?
Exactly.
But this goes so much deeper than that.
It really does. We're not just talking about labels or personality traits here.
Yeah.
This is about identity as like a force,
Okay.
the driving energy behind everything we do, even the things that we don't do.
Oh, wow. So it's like the code running in the background of our lives that affects like...
It is.
Right.
Think about it this way. Identity is the glue that holds your personal story together.
Okay.
And just like with any good story, sometimes we need stronger glue to make it stick,
I like that. Yeah.
So if you're trying to change your story, maybe it's time for some heavy-duty adhesive.
Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Metaphorically speaking.
So how does this identity glue, like, how does that actually affect our relationships? Because I think, we all want these to be like rock solid.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the source material makes this fascinating point. 90% of relationship success comes down to two things.
Okay.
Choosing the right partner, sure,
Okay.
but also
Okay.
the version of yourself that you bring to the table.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like you could have the best ingredients for a cake, but if you only use half of them,
Yeah, you're not going to get this.
it's not going to turn out as good.
The full experience.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not just about finding like the perfect person, but being the right person for them too.
That's right.
So I gotta ask, like, what version of you do you usually bring to your closest relationships? Is it the version you're like most proud of?
That's a good question. I think it depends on the relationship.
Yeah, think about a time when you felt like truly seen and accepted in a relationship. Like what were you bringing to that dynamic?
That's a great question to consider.
Yeah.
And it leads us to the next layer of this whole identity thing, our beliefs.
Okay.
This is where it gets really interesting. Beliefs aren't just thoughts floating around.
Right.
They're deep-seated feelings of absolute certainty.
Okay, so not just like, I think this might be true, but like,
I know this is true, period.
This is true, period.
Yes.
That sounds pretty powerful.
They can create, but they can also destroy. The source material uses this amazing analogy. Think of beliefs like tinted glasses that color how we see the world.
Okay.
If you believe someone is a liar, you will interpret everything they do through that lens,
Oh, wow.
even if they're telling the truth.
So, like, our beliefs actually shape our reality.
It is a bit of a mind bender.
That's wild.
It is. And it highlights how important it is to examine our beliefs.
Yeah.
Are they serving us or are they holding us back? For example, have you ever gone into a meeting
No.
convinced it was going to be a waste of time?
Oh, yeah.
Did that belief even subconsciously influence how the meeting actually went?
That's a good point. I know I've definitely been guilty of that. But how do we change these deeply ingrained beliefs if they're not working for us?
That seems like a tall order.
It does.
It can be. The source material offers a few techniques. One that really stood out to me is called the SEW technique for communication.
SCW, like sewing a button back on?
Not quite. It stands for sharing sensations,
Okay.
emotions, and wants.
Okay.
It's a way of communicating clearly and directly without resorting to blame or accusations.
So instead of saying, like, you always make me late, you'd be more like, I'm feeling anxious because we're running behind and I want to make sure we arrive on time.
Exactly. You're sharing your internal experience, your physical sensations, your emotions, and your desires without pointing fingers.
Yeah.
And here's the surprising part. The source material suggests that people crave vulnerability, not perfection. It's in those vulnerable moments that real connection happens.
That's so true. Nobody's perfect, and trying to be all the time just builds walls.
It does.
So how does this like authentic communication style tie back into the bigger picture of identity?
It's all connected. When we communicate authentically, we're essentially showing up as our true selves.
All right.
And that's a key part of building a strong personal brand.
Personal branding, I thought that was just for like companies and influencers.
Not at all. Your personal brand is the impression you make on the world.
Okay.
Think of it as the message you're constantly broadcasting, whether you're aware of it or not. It influences your relationships and the opportunities that come your way.
So it's kind of like those catchy slogans that companies use.
Yes.
Like, just do it. Or level up
Exactly.
for.
A strong brand has a clear, specific benefit. It communicates quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what makes you uniquely valuable to your team or your clients.
Yeah.
What benefit do you consistently deliver? What's your just do it?
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah,
It makes the whole, like, concept of personal branding much less intimidating.
right.
Okay, so let's say we've nailed down our personal brand.
Hmm.
We're communicating authentically. We're bringing our best selves to our relationships. How does that translate into actual success? Like, is there a formula for that?
Well, the source material emphasizes one key principle. Success hinges on adding value to others.
Okay.
It's not just about what you want to achieve, but how you can contribute to the world around you.
So shifting the focus from what's in it for me to how can I help?
Exactly.
Okay.
And it starts with identifying your unique strengths
Yeah.
and the benefits you bring to the table.
Yeah.
What do you offer that others don't?
I like that instead of trying to be good at everything, we focus on like what we're uniquely good at
Yes.
and use those strengths to make a difference.
You got it. And here's a kicker. The source suggests that to really stand out, you need to consistently over-deliver and be obsessed with meeting other people's needs, not just your own.
So going above and beyond, exceeding expectations,
Mm-hmm.
and genuinely caring about the impact you're making.
That's right.
That's actually really inspiring.
It is.
But, let's be honest, making a real lasting change in our lives takes more than just understanding these concepts, right?
It does.
We have to actually put them into practice. So how do we bridge that gap between knowing and doing?
Well, there are a lot of approaches, but the source highlights a fascinating technique called incantations.
Incantations.
They're more than just affirmations.
Okay.
They involve engaging your whole body and nervous system
Oh, wow.
to rewire your beliefs at a deeper level.
Okay, that sounds intense. How does that actually work?
Think about it. Your physical state can actually influence your mental and emotional state. The source suggests that even simple shifts in your posture can reinforce new, empowering beliefs. Have you ever noticed how standing tall with your shoulders back can make you feel more confident?
Yeah.
That's part of it.
So it's not just about like repeating positive phrases, but
Mhm.
like actually embodying them physically.
Exactly.
Wow.
And that's just one example. Incantations can involve movement, breath work, even visualization, anything that helps you connect with your body and nervous system to rewire those deep-seated beliefs.
It's like we're really getting to the core of how identity shapes our lives.
Yes.
From our beliefs and communication to our relationships and even our success.
It is fascinating. And you know what this ties into a larger point the source makes about the quality of our lives.
Okay.
It suggests that the quality of our lives is directly proportional to how much uncertainty we can comfortably handle.
Whoa, that's a big statement. What does that even mean?
It means that the more we resist uncertainty,
Yeah.
the more we limit our potential for growth and fulfillment. It's in those moments of not knowing, of stepping outside our comfort zones,
Yeah.
that we truly discover who we are and what we're capable of.
Okay, I'm starting to get it, but it's definitely like a mindset shift. Right?
Absolutely.
Like embracing the unknown instead of fearing it.
It's about reframing our relationship with uncertainty,
Okay.
seeing it not as something to fear, but as an opportunity for growth, adventure, and self-discovery.
So instead of asking like, what if it goes wrong, we ask, what if it goes right?
Exactly. And, the source material suggests that embracing uncertainty is where we find true passion and aliveness.
Mm-hmm.
It's in those moments that we feel most vibrantly alive.
I love that. This has been such an incredible deep dive so far. We've covered so much ground.
We have. And we're just getting started.
I know, there's so much more to unpack in this source material.
There is.
But for now, let's just give our listeners a moment to like digest all of this amazing information.
Yes. Take a deep breath.
What insights resonate most with you so far?
What's standing out to you in all of this? And remember how we were talking about embracing uncertainty?
Yeah.
The source material asked this really thought-provoking question.
Okay.
What area of your life are you holding back from
Mm-hmm.
because of that fear of the unknown?
It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes the things that scare us the most
Right.
are the very things that could lead to like the most incredible experiences.
Exactly. What if instead of letting those fears hold us back,
Yeah.
we leaned into them? What if we saw those moments of uncertainty not as threats,
Right.
but as opportunities for growth and transformation? Think of a time you took a leap of faith.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was starting a new job
Yeah.
or traveling to a new place. How did that experience shape you?
I love that perspective shift. But to be honest, it's easier said than done, right?
Hmm.
It takes a lot of courage to step outside of our comfort zones.
You're absolutely right. It does take courage.
Yeah.
But the source material makes a powerful point about success that really resonated with me. It suggests that true success isn't just about setting goals and working hard,
Right.
but also about aligning our actions with our core values and beliefs.
Okay.
It's about living a life that feels authentic and meaningful to us.
So it's not just about checking things off our to-do list, but about creating a life that feels aligned with who we truly are at our core.
Precisely. And, this actually connects back to what we were discussing earlier about personal branding.
Oh, yeah. All right.
When we're clear about our values and what we stand for,
Right.
it becomes much easier to make choices that are in alignment with those principles.
So it's like our personal brand acts as a compass, guiding us towards the things that truly matter to us.
Yeah.
It's less about chasing external validation and more about living a life that feels true to ourselves.
Exactly. And when we're living in alignment with our authentic selves,
Yeah.
success becomes less about striving and more about a natural byproduct of following our own internal compass.
Okay.
It flows effortlessly from a place of deep inner knowing and purpose.
Okay, that's a really powerful image. So let's recap for our listener. What are some of the key takeaways from everything we've explored so far about the power of identity?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's important to remember that identity is a dynamic force that shapes our entire experience of life.
Okay.
It influences our beliefs, actions, our relationships, and ultimately our level of success and fulfillment.
And that means we have a responsibility to be mindful of the identity we're cultivating, to be conscious of the beliefs we're holding on to, the stories we're telling ourselves, and the image we're projecting to the world.
Absolutely.
Oh,
We have more power than we realize to shape our own identities.
yeah.
And speaking of beliefs, that brings us to another key takeaway.
Right,
The power of our beliefs to shape our reality.
right. We were talking earlier about how beliefs can act like those tinted glasses coloring how we see the world.
Yes.
So it's crucial to examine those beliefs and challenge the ones that are no longer serving us.
Exactly. And the source material offered some fascinating techniques for shifting those beliefs, like the incantations we discussed, or even something as simple as changing our physical posture to reinforce new, more empowering beliefs.
And let's not forget about the SEW communication technique. Sharing our sensations, emotions, and wants authentically can completely transform the way we communicate and build stronger, healthier relationships.
It's such a valuable tool for expressing ourselves clearly and directly without resorting to blame or accusations. It allows us to show up with more vulnerability and create a space for genuine connection.
And speaking of relationships, I loved that idea from the source material about trading expectations for appreciation.
Yeah.
Choosing to appreciate our loved ones for who they are rather than who we think they should be.
It's such a powerful shift in perspective. It allows us to release those rigid expectations and embrace the unique beauty of the people in our lives.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that creates a more loving and fulfilling experience for everyone involved.
And to tie it all back to our conversation about uncertainty, remember that the source material challenged us to embrace the unknown as a catalyst for growth and aliveness.
That's right. It's about stepping outside of our comfort zones, being willing to not know all the answers, and seeing the unknown not as something to fear, but as an opportunity for adventure and self-discovery.
This has been such an insightful and inspiring deep dive. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of the power of identity and how it shapes every aspect of our lives.
And remember, this is just the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
There's always more to explore and discover about ourselves and the power we have to shape our own realities.
That's so true. But for now, let's pause and give our listener a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed.
Yes.
What insights are you taking away from this conversation?
What actions will you take to align your identity with the life you truly desire to create?
Because ultimately, that's what this deep dive is all about. Empowering you to step into the most authentic and fulfilling version of yourself. You know, as we're reflecting on all of this, there's one question from the source material that really stuck with me. What area of your life are you holding back from due to fear of the unknown? I think it's so easy to let fear dictate our choices sometimes without even realizing it.
It's true. Fear can be a powerful force, but it's important to remember that it doesn't have to control us.
Right.
What if we could shift our perspective and see those fears not as roadblocks, but as invitations to step into something new and exciting?
Yeah,
Imagine the possibilities that open up when we choose courage over comfort.
that's a great point. It's like those fears might actually be signposts,
Hmm.
pointing us towards the very experiences that could bring us the most growth and fulfillment.
Exactly.
We just have to be brave enough to take that first step.
And speaking of taking leaps of faith,
Yeah.
the source material had some really insightful things to say about love.
Okay.
Specifically, it encourages us to rewrite our narratives about love,
Oh,
to
wow.
challenge those old stories we tell ourselves about what love should look like and who we are in relation to it.
I love that concept. It's so easy to get stuck in those limiting beliefs and patterns, especially when it comes to relationships.
It is.
We might carry old wounds or fears that prevents us from fully opening our hearts to love.
Exactly. And often those beliefs are operating beneath the surface, influencing our choices without us even realizing it.
Right.
So the first step is simply becoming aware of those stories.
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what are my core beliefs about love?
Mm-hmm.
Are they serving me or are they holding me back?
That's such a powerful question. And once we've identified those beliefs, we can start to challenge them, right? We can choose to create new narratives that are more aligned with the kind of love we truly desire.
Precisely. And this isn't just limited to romantic love either.
Okay.
The source material talks about rewriting our narratives of love in all of our relationships. Our
Yeah.
families, friendships, work relationships,
Mm.
they can all benefit from a conscious effort to shift our perspectives and approach those connections with more openness and compassion.
So it's about moving away from judgment and criticism and leaning into acceptance, understanding, and forgiveness.
Absolutely. It's about choosing to see the best in others, to appreciate their unique qualities, and to approach those relationships with a willingness to connect on a deeper, more authentic level.
It all circles back to that idea of trading expectations for appreciation, doesn't it? When we let go of those rigid ideas about how others should be and simply appreciate them for who they are, we create space for genuine connection and love to flourish.
Exactly. And when we do that, we're not only transforming our relationships, but we're also transforming ourselves.
Yeah.
We're becoming more loving, compassionate, and understanding individuals.
This has been such an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've explored so much: the power of identity beliefs, communication, personal branding, and the importance of rewriting our narratives of love.
A lot.
It's amazing to see how all of these pieces fit together to create a more fulfilling and authentic life.
It is. And remember, this is just the beginning of your exploration.
Hmm.
There's always more to learn and discover about yourself and the power you have to shape your own reality.
You're absolutely right. But for now, we'll leave our listener with one final thought inspired by the source material. We are all invited to rewrite our own narratives of love in our families, friendships, and work relationships.
What story will you choose to write?
Until next time, keep diving deep.